This is a foreigner in the Philippines. Good evening. You may have seen the video on the Village of Hope, in which we went on a surprise visit. Well, we did notify them, but as far as the kids and everything were concerned, nobody knew we were coming. Our subscriber Mitch insisted on buying a ton of stuff. In fact, we went round and Saturday morning we bought 8 bags of rice, and I think it turned out to be about 4 boxes of canned goods. So the Village of Hope is a special thing. It's a special thing to me because it's not an orphanage where people go with the chances of children being taken to a private home, adopted out to a family, and becoming part of a close-knit ordinary family. That doesn't happen with the Village of Hope. These are abandoned children. They're abandoned for various different reasons. Some, the parents have both died, and others, they were ditched. I think that they had only one child that was taken off the streets, and I believe that they're licensed for 45 children, and they have a little bit less than that right now, because I think five of the children are actually at college. So this is actually a children's home. They have 4 houses. Each of the houses has a house mother and father, and this is a married couple who in most of the cases, I believe, have children of their own, which are obviously resident at the Village of Hope. So these 4 houses are built separately in a beautiful setting. It's a paradise in so many ways, but there are hardships, of course. This is the Philippines. They don't have an effective way of getting water, fresh water to them, so they depend a lot on bottled water and also on wise collection of rainwater. Well, they've certainly been having a lot of rainwater lately, I can tell you. Whether they use that, probably they use that maybe filtered. I'm not quite sure of all the ins and outs. We met all of the children. A very touching scene, because when they had their gifts, they sang to Mitch and I, but Beth was on the camera, so she was hiding, wasn't seen. But of course we were, Mitch and I were roasted alive. You know, I don't find it very easy to remain unemotional when it's something like that. And when you're standing there and a ton of grateful children sing from the heart, boy, it's a very touching, moving thing, because their little faces, especially the little ones that are very small, and they're singing the way, and they really mean it. There's no faking it with these kids. Kids aren't that good at faking. Generalities don't work generally, but in this case I didn't see any faking, and they were so very, very grateful. And then of course Mitch, who is a showman, decided that he would line up the children a little bit like you would be in the army, and he lined them up 5 in a row, and he asked which one was the most responsible, which was the grown-up one, the big guy, and he gave that child 1,000 pesos with the instruction that once they had change, which I'm sure that they were able to do, the other children, they must remember who was in their team, and the other children would then get 200 pesos. And that was for buying things which were not structured like most money would be for them. Most money, they would get an allowance when they go to school. If they go to school, they'd be given, like our children, that get 10 pesos to get lunch when they get to school. So they go out and have lunch, and they pay 10 pesos and they have a lunch. Well, these kids, to Mitch asked the question, what do they have? Where does the money come from for them to have their own personal needs? And of course it was a difficult question for anybody to answer, and it turned out that they never really were just given money, or that's how it seemed to me. So that was when Mitch had the idea that he would give 1,000 pesos for every 5 children, and that's what he did. And of course, as far as the kids went, it was very exciting. 200 pesos is $4. It's not a huge amount of money, but God, for those kids to be given 200 pesos is a huge thing, and it's given to them directly. And the home mothers, the house mothers, were made to promise that they wouldn't take the 200s and try to make it into a sensible thing. Oh, well, come on, you can't just squander 200, can you? Well, of course, in this case, they were able to, and may well have done that. The older girls, I guess, would buy makeup and combs and brushes and hair products, but the younger kids would do the candy route. So we're hoping to do more with the Village of Hope. We did do a video where we asked the villager, the house mothers, what do you need? What do you need? And it's funny, I don't find this an easy question to answer for myself, and we do get subscribers, and they'll text a message and say, what did you and Beth need? And always find that the hardest. What do you want? What can we send you? And I find that a very difficult question to answer. I already feel extremely blessed. Well, I'm guessing that these house mothers were feeling pretty much the same thing, and they were stammering and stuttering and didn't quite know, without being prompted, what they could probably need. Now, the last time that I was there, which is, I don't know, not quite a year ago, Beth and I went, and we were talking then with Jam, who is the director who is on site there, and we asked her, what do you need? And she said, well, we really need bedding. They haven't had new mattresses for quite a time. Well, as you know, we have a Sweet Dreams project. This would be rather a big hit for our Sweet Dreams Sandman Steve, but Steve, just putting you on notice, you know, if you suddenly place a big debt on the Grand National or something and come into some money, there's 46 mattresses to go out into one place. Even our new big truck won't handle that, not in one trip. But anyway, so we found out that they need bedding, they need sheets, they need pillows, they need pillowcases, towels, I don't know, toothbrushes, all kinds of stuff like that. A lot of that stuff is coming, I know, in those, not the bedding, no one's going to be sending 45 sets of sheets and pillowcases, are they? But they are going to send things which we'll be able to share with a lot of kids, and we're really looking forward to that. And we've already made the promise that we'll be back to the Village of Hope and we'll be taking a ton of stuff. Mitch, ever a generous man, is already planning his own acts of kindness and charity in his area, and wants us to do a video. I think he's actually going to fund this stuff himself, but of course any man who's doing a good deed needs a bit of help probably. So we're going to go over and do a video there. He is using, I think, Pastor Gilbert, not quite sure exactly how that's working out, but he's using a team of guys that he's hoping to get a big garage storage room, and that's going to be made on his property, because he can't send his 2 containers full of stuff until he has a place where it can all be unloaded, put into a van and brought to his property, and then stored somewhere safe and dry. So he wants to try to get that garage storage room built before he leaves to go back to Australia. And he's going back to Australia briefly, he hopes, and then he's coming back. And of course he is, I described him as larger than life, didn't I? And I think that you probably will agree that he is larger than life. If I were to put characters onto made up characters, if I were to give them a role in a film, in a movie, what would I say that Mitch was? Mitch would have to be the ringmaster or the lion tamer in a circus film. That's what I think. That's where I have him pegged at. Boisterous, flamboyant, generous to a fault. That would be Mitch. Ringmaster Mitch. Okay, so that's been all for now on the Village of Hope. Hopefully they don't need a lion tamer over there or a ringmaster, but they do need some help. And if you do want to send anything for the Village of Hope, I already pledged that as long as you put on there for at some corner of the box Village of Hope or Village of Hope VOH, we won't even open that box. We'll make a video of it being opened at the Village of Hope. How's that for a promise? Okay, so that's all from me. It's all from us. Bye for now.